So here I am cutting out the collar, as I mentioned earlier, cut out on the single and on the bias. But what I also want to do is block fuse it. So what I've done is I cut out a square of my fabric, and then I cut out a square of fusing, and then I've ironed it on the back. So that's my fusing there on the back. So you can just see there, so that's the sticky side, and I ironed it on. So that's called block fusing, where you cut out a block of fabric first and a block of fusing, and you stick the two together before you actually cut out your piece. Okay, this is my straight of grain, which is at a 45-degree angle to a normal grain line. So that is what I want to use to cut out my collar, because I want it cut on the bias, because it'll allow it to sit and to fold nicely, just to sit around the neck. So again, making sure your grain line is straight. Because I had cut out not an actual block, I don't have my selvage left. So what I'm doing is I'm using the grain on the fabric as a guide. I fold along the grain line, then I can actually see the lines, the warp on my fabric, and I know that I have my straight of grain correct. And then I pin that down. Ready to cut it out. So the benefit of block fusing is that if there's any shrinkage in the fabric, then it will have shrunk when steamed, and as you're pressing on the veline or the fusing. And it also just means that certainly if something was a more curved shape, then it's less likely to be pulled out of shape when you're ironing the fusing onto the fabric. So block fusing is by far the best way to fuse a collar or a cuff or whatever it may be. And having said that, the fusing for the neckline, which is going to be put on to the lining only, we are now cutting out in just the fusing. So obviously you can't iron this to get the creases out because it would stick to the ironing board, so you just kind of have to smooth it out as best possible. So my centre front piece is cut on the fold, so again just make sure there's no little wrinkles and things underneath, and try and keep it as smooth as possible. So that's my centre front. So these are the facing pieces that I made earlier, and I'm just pinning those down. So this is only being cut in fusing, and then that will be ironed on to the lining, which gets cut out in the same way as your dress did in fabric or calico. And then you simply cut these out. To show you what that looks like. That's your facing piece. One side is sticky and one side isn't. And that's the front because it's on the fold. And then that's the back, and you've got a pair of those. So they're my fusing pieces. So we'll just keep those together for now. And then we'll cover the collar. Is all my pattern pieces cut out. So I have all my breast pieces here, my collar, my facings, and I'll also cut the dress pieces and the sleeve pieces out in lining, and then I will show you how to do your notches and your French tailor tacks, or your tailor tacks to show the ends of the darts.